the lovely estate or home of Dr. Alice Jeromin. We're going to continue our conversation about pet care, pet health, etc. And I think we're going to start off with a few more summer tips because there are two important factors. One is if you have a boat and you decide to take your dog on the boat, what do you probably need to do? I would imagine a life jacket. What other suggestions would you have?
Well, it'd be a good idea first to take them on the boat without going into the water, okay? In other words, get them used to the boat as far as, where their water bowl is, where their food is. See how seaworthy their little paws are. Make sure their nails are trimmed so that they're not skating across that deck. And certainly the life jacket. Very important to have them microchipped. Every dog, no matter what it does, going on a boat, go for a walk, whatever, microchipping is very important. You can now have it done. Some humane societies like Mabel, our Summit County Humane Society, has mobile clinics where they'll do vaccinations and microchip. So microchip, very important because if the dog does get loose and someone finds it and it doesn't have its collar, then you have a method of identifying it. Also, especially fair-skinned dogs, like for example a white pit bull, can get sunburnt, and that can turn into what we call squamous cell carcinoma.
Wow.
So that happens to a lot of white dogs, the short-coated ones, that lay on their backs out on the deck or the deck of the boat. So you have to be very careful about that. There is doggy sunscreen, but the best thing would be to wear like a little t-shirt, a little outfit.
Okay. What about those little visors you see that they have for dogs? Would that protect their eyes?
Well, those are good for the few people that take their dog on a motorcycle, which I would never agree to. But in dogs that put their head outside the window, when we were working with the ophthalmologist, literally he would pick bugs out of the cornea of a dog's eyes and foreign bodies because they have their head out the window. You're going 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. So they could lose their sight from that. So the doggles are what they're called.
Doggles, that's a good term. I like it.
Instead of goggles, can be purchased for that. Although really your dog's head shouldn't be out the window.
Okay, and then again, make sure you get them a life jacket because if for some reason there's rough water and they go overboard, at least they're not drowning.
Yeah, rough water, they need to be down under. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, now as it's beginning to rain.
So much for the sun.
You did mention the other day when we met each other that in the summer with all this flooding and excessive rain that there's something that can happen on the ground that if your dog's out there or a human brings stuff in on their shoes. So tell us about that because it sounds pretty serious.
It is serious. It's a disease called leptospirosis, which is a bacterial disease that likes wetness. And it's carried by rodents, squirrels, any little mammal carries it. Now we have an area that you can see in our yard here that's low and it's kind of ponding. Well, I'm sure at night there's critters that are walking through there and they either, it's expelled in their urine or in their saliva. So then my dog goes and walks through there or God forbid drinks from a puddle there and they're exposed to leptospirosis, which shuts down your kidneys and your liver. And it does that to humans as well. I might add with leptospirosis two things. One, there's a vaccination for it, which is a yearly vaccination. If you ever have a dog that gets leptospirosis, it really has to go on dialysis. And the only place that I can tell you that does dialysis around here is OSU, and it's about $2,000 a day, and that's if the dog lives. It's a very serious disease. Wow. So a yearly vaccine for it. Also, it can be, you can be exposed to it by community water bowls for a dog. So I never let my dog drink out of a community water bowl. I think it's great that shopping centers have, here's a little water bowl for dogs. Bring your own collapsible water bottle. Bring your own water bottle and pour some in there and let the dog drink. But it's a very contagious disease, and we never used to see it, say, in the Southwest, in Arizona, for example. We see it now, probably because we're seeing runoff from the rains that they're having there as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much rain and flooding everywhere at this moment.
Wetness and leptospirosis, they go together, and it's very scary.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought that up because this is a very important thing that most people probably don't know about.
And can be prevented with the vaccine.
There you go. Continuing with the summer, what if somebody does not have air conditioning in their home or their apartment and it gets excessively hot? How do you keep your animal cool? I mean, do you think fans are almost too much air rushing at them, or do you recommend maybe a cold washcloth every now and then, just putting it on their body to help cool them off? Or
Right. Fans, a great idea.
it is a good.
Always have
Okay.
water available for them. Very important to have water. And just like us, we need to stay hydrated. Well, and you know, dogs pant through their tongue, and that's how they expel their CO2. So water always available. A damp towel is nice. You don't want to do, if you find a dog that's overheated, you never want to plunge him into ice cold water.
Oh, no,
that's too much of a shock to the body. So lukewarm to chilled water. And you know, a lot of dogs like to chew ice cubes. So that's kind of a nice treat.
Okay.
We can show you that later with Annie Jeromin.
Okay, that's very good. So again, what diseases would be more prevalent or that you need to worry about that are directly result of the summer?
Okay, we talked about lepto, very important. Heartworm, all year round we need to give heartworm preventative. Heartworm is not a gastrointestinal worm. It's transmitted by a mosquito that once it bites the dog, it puts the little baby heartworm into the bloodstream of the dog, and as that baby heartworm grows, it turns into a huge worm that blocks the vessels leading to the heart.
Oh my
So you never really know a dog has heartworm until you test the blood, and once they're heartworm negative, we put them on a heartworm preventative, which is either a 6-month shot, a 12-month shot, or a monthly pill. And it's a every 30-day pill that acts to prevent heartworm.
Okay.
Now people say, well, we live in Ohio. There's no mosquitoes in the winter. There are mosquitoes that winter over. And I don't know about you, but I've found a mosquito occasionally in my house in the winter when it's not that bad of a winter. So very important to give heartworm preventative all year round. Flea and tick, can't say enough about prevention there. Ticks, you know, the whole thing about Lyme disease started in Lyme, Connecticut. Well, it's moving west from the northeast. There's so many species of ticks now that we have to worry about. And for example, in my yard, I have a lot of deer. I have wild turkey. Both of those are intermediate reservoirs for ticks. So you have no deer, no turkey, you probably don't have any ticks. But we all do, okay? And so there's now wonderful medications, a monthly pill or a 3-month pill. A couple examples, Simparica, Credelio, Brevecto, that work excellently for flea and tick prevention.
Oh,
Ticks,
gosh.
you know, when you get bitten by a tick, you don't just get one disease. You don't just get Lyme. You get more than one disease. And it's very serious because it breaks down your blood cells, goes to your joints. These darts become arthritic. So flea and tick all year round, heartworm preventative all year round.
And what about, because I know I house sit for some friends, and every summer they have to give their dog an allergy pill because he ends up like itching and biting himself, and it's related to summer pollens or whatever. So I even have to give it to him with peanut butter, you know. So you probably know what I'm referring to. So what about that?
Well, that's my area.
Okay,
I'm an
that's your
allergist and
special.
dermatologist, so I'll summarize that in like, it could take an hour, but
Yeah,
I
okay.
won't do that. But you're right. The difference between allergy in us and in dogs and cats, dogs with allergies start anywhere from 1 to 3 years of age and get worse every year they get older. We inhale what we're allergic to. Dogs absorb it through their skin, which is why a lot of them come in the house, lick their feet, rub their face, because anywhere the underside of them is exposed to pollen, that's where it gets absorbed across the skin, and then you get all the itching. Very seldom do they sneeze. It's more of a licking, itching, biting, and scooting. Because when you think about it, their little bottom is sitting out there in that pollen. And so there are new medications, including an injection for allergy, because prior to that, veterinarians used a lot of steroids. And if you've ever been on steroid, you know you don't want your dog on it. So we have things like Cytopoint, Apoquel. For dermatologists like me, I would allergy test the dog, find out what they're allergic to, and then we'd put them on a desensitization oral drop.
And what would an allergy look like in a dog or a cat? What would be something visually you could right away detect?
It's usually rubbing their face, chewing their feet. Foot licking, to me, as a dermatologist, is allergy till proven otherwise.
Okay.
Is Apoquel?
Yes.
Is that bad for them?
It's tons safer than steroid, and it's been a remarkable discovery for in veterinary allergy. And I'm happy with Apoquel. I just monitor my dogs that are on it. But I'm a great believer in lab work and checking lab work every year, depending on how old the dog is, every 6 months, no matter if they're on nothing.
Apoquel sounds familiar. I think
Yeah,
that might be
Apoquel.
what I'm
Yeah.
giving my friend's dog.
Probably.
Okay, very good.